You and I and everybody else are this lost, this prodigal son, prodigal daughter, and we return home. It's not that we slowly evolved from out of the sea, from a sea urchin into an animal, a monkey, and so on, and now slowly have to grow to some spiritual being. No, we have been that perfect being. It's merely a question of returning. There's nothing new for us to learn, only to activate our love muscle, basically.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Oh, delighted to be here. Thank you. I'm fine, Sergey. Delighted to be with you.
Yes, me too. I've been looking forward to this interview very much. I've been watching your videos and your books, and watching your videos, it reminded me of Paramahansa Yogananda series. It's called How to Live series.
I remember, I think I read his autobiography of a yogi, I think the other book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it is very close. It's true. It's very close. It's basically the same message. It's love.
That was my first introduction to, to yoga, and I was very interested in this subject after I read that book. And my first question is this, Hans. I just watched your video about how to reach heaven, and can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Well, let me just also introduce a little bit how I come to it, because why should anybody believe what I say?
Yes,
I
please.
just have studied the spirituality since I was very, very young and have gone very many different paths. Yogananda only partially touched, but also Edgar Cayce and many, many other paths. And I was fortunate to meet many great teachers over the time. But for the last 30 years, I found a path given from what I call the absolute reality, heaven, as you said earlier, through a woman in Germany. Her name is Gabriele, and you won't find her on the internet because she doesn't want any kind of cult made around her, and she only delivers the material, she teaches the material, but it is without any organization, and there are no teachers, and there is no membership. It is totally between you and God. And I found this very compelling, but that was not the main reason. The main reason why I like this teaching is suddenly everything what I had studied over the past years made sense. It came together and totally touched me in a way like no other teaching ever did. And when over time I tried out the lessons given by the spiritual world to me or to all of us, and I found that they worked, I became more and more convinced that this is the right path for me. And therefore, I make those videos largely for myself, because I want to see visually of how the various laws connect with each other. For instance, when we take the law of karma, and I draw it out, how some person hurt another person and how this is stored in their bodies, in the Akashic records, in their repository planets, and then returns back to the sender, it becomes far more clearer to me. And I just share these discoveries with others, because I found that all these teachings are so simple and clear and wonderful. Gabriele always said, God is ingenious simplicity. I always liked that. So coming back to your question, returning back to heaven, it is my understanding that we all came from what we call heaven, the absolute reality. We were all originally perfect cosmic children of God, divine, and some of these children have wanted their own creation. It's a long story. I had it in a video in the fall about Lucifer, but they wanted their own creation and they left the absolute reality and fell deep into the temporary reality. And this is where we are right now. This is only a temporary reality which we have put ourselves basically in exile from our true home, and now it's time to return home. And when we equal the word God or heaven or absolute reality, another word for it is love. It is the highest vibration. And unfortunately, through our ego will, over time, we have removed ourselves from love and have done the opposite and have done unloving things, unloving thoughts. And that has caused us to create what is generally called karma, or soul burden, or what Jesus called the sowing and reaping. And that we slowly have to let go of and return back home. So returning back to home is nothing else than returning back to our original state of being, which is love. Does that answer your question?
Yes, yes, it does. Yeah, and But again, I have a question. Why do people really want to reincarnate into this low vibration here on Earth?
It is a very low vibration here on Earth, that is true, but it is a teaching ground. It is an Earth school. Everywhere else in the purification spheres or in the temporary reality, everything works on by the law of like attracts like. So souls of same vibrations are hanging out with souls of same vibration, which we all think the same thing, we act the same thing, we do the same thing, we believe the same thing. There's very little information, outside information coming to them for them to grow. That is one of the reasons. The other reason is also in the purification sphere, we experience our karma, our soul burden, and that can be very painful. So souls are given the opportunity to incarnate here on planet Earth because planet Earth is different than all the other planets. It allows that other souls from different vibrations can come here to planet Earth at the same time, which is very important, particularly when we, for instance, have created a negative karma with another soul, and that soul is in a totally different part of the purification spheres. We do not interact them when we are on the spiritual side. But here on Earth, we can incarnate together at the same time, and we can undo our karma if we choose to. The reason here, that's why we have a very short lifetime of only, 30,000 days or 800,000 hours, which is nothing. So nobody can say this is our home, because it's far too short for cosmic beings to have this life here on Earth. It is a school for souls who are prepared to undo their karma. And the undo karma is done very simple. All cultures know the one law which we all have been taught and know. It's the golden rule. Do unto others as you want to be done, and do not unto others what you do not want them done to you. Now, in addition, we have the Ten Commandments, the Sermon on the Mount, and many other wonderful teachings. But basically, if we live by this one rule only, the golden rule, the world would be a paradise a long time ago already. But unfortunately, our ego does not really allow it, and our ego has more prominence and is more powerful. So the reason, basically, to answer your question, is we come here to undo our karma in a very, very short time, because it's also less painful. We also have a physical body. The physical body is like a buffer. So when we are now sick because of karmic reasons, we can take medicine, and we can do things about it, and we can make the pain which we are enduring less painful. We cannot do this in the spiritual realm, where we have to endure it in total equality as we have sent it out.
Okay, so you want to say that this Earth is more like Yale or Harvard. It's a very intense study here.
Very much so. You're like Yale and Harvard. And but it's up to us what we do. If Yale and Harvard are very difficult and not everybody stays in there, you have to work very, very hard. Our daughter went to one of these ivory schools, and I think she hardly had any parties during the time she worked so hard. But on the other hand, there are also universities or colleges here in America which are beer and party, where you just come and beer and party, and you leave it as as stupid as you arrive, more or less. So a lot of people, unfortunately, are not aware that this is a challenging time for our soul growth. They're mainly here for the pleasure and having a good life and having a rich life, and let me have the biggest piece of the pie, because this is the only life I have, is the common belief. So that is our choice. If we understand that this is a very tough school for souls. And what is also interesting, when we have very painful situation in our life, like death or losing loved ones and illnesses, handicaps, and so on, which are it is usually a sign that we are very strong souls, that we are capable to now deal with that situation. So where the harder the life is, the stronger the soul usually is. I'm sure there are exceptions to everything what I say, because it's a large variety in existence. But these are the basic rules as I have been taught and I have understood, and they make total sense to me.
Okay, so it's a faster evolution for souls that chose a harder life on Earth. This is because they planned it before they come here. But then again, when they arrive here, like you said, it's a lower vibration and they have a choice, and we we can make a different choices from the ones that we were planned before we arrived here.
We can continue creating negative karma. Yeah, that is unfortunately the situation with many of us, that we live here not aware that this is not the only life we have, and we create and we harm other people, we harm the environment, we harm the planet, and eventually all this has to come back to us. But people always say, well, if I have been here before through incarnations, many incarnations, why don't I remember this? I mean, wouldn't it be fair to when I get born, says, look, you have done here before and now it's time to clean up? If we wouldn't know it for two reasons, we don't know it because we have done most likely awful stuff in previous lifetimes. Some of us have incarnated 100,000 times, and just imagine we would remember the horrific things we done.
I know.
It would entail us. And the other reason is also that our choice to be good to another person and to think good enough should come from our heart and not from our head. Not as, oh, because I was bad to you, and no, I will think positive things of thought. That is an intellectual decision, and it doesn't have the impact than it says, oh, this is another human being, and I'd rather be kind to the person because he also struggled through life just like me. And I won't put more burden onto him. It comes from a totally different level, from a much deeper level and much more profound to clear up past karma.
But all these encounters on earth, people we encounter, we meet people who live, go through the journey with us, locations, countries, whatever, everything has been planned in advance so we can, evolve faster. Right?
Absolutely, absolutely. We are living our life on rewind. I made a special video on that one, which basically means that in previous lifetimes we have created a lot of karma, and that karma, as I mentioned earlier, is stored in many places in our DNA, in the Akashic record, but mostly in the repository planet of the material and semi-material universes. And when these planets move in a certain constellation, or if they are full, they send back the karma of the past to us. So when we enter a new life, all we are facing is our old karma coming back to us. All the difficult situations are situations that we have once created through self-will, through ego will, and which we are now facing not as punishment, but as a consequence and as a teaching tool. Suddenly I realize, oh, it's maybe not good to strangle somebody, kill somebody, or do harm or steal from somebody. So this is a very self-learning teaching arrangement, the law of karma. And but in addition to experiencing the law of karma, we also have given through all the wise teachers in all cultures the very simple way of, as I said, the golden rule and many other things, which clearly say, just do everything you can do with love, and then you will do better. And the moment we do that, we feel better, and we also come from a lower vibration to a higher vibration by just being more ourselves, or who we truly are, which is incarnated love.
Yes, but this understanding comes to us eventually, because when we encounter any difficulties, we complain and we try to fix the situation, not understanding that this has been planned by us, what has been sent to us for a faster evolution. We complain, we want to fix the situation instead of embracing it and to be grateful for the difficulties.
Yeah, well, was it? I don't hear the question. You're right. What you said was absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Yeah, people don't know why they're experiencing the negativity. But the wonderful thing is also to remember that in case there is a blow of fate, which we originally have initiated, and it can also be this lifetime, doesn't have to be a last lifetime. Usually we are getting some signals prior that says, look, watch out, 2-3 times before the real impact hits. Typical example is if you have got suddenly start coughing. Oh, maybe I should not do smoking, and smoking may not be a good idea, but eventually lung cancer comes if I don't stop. And this is with most blows of fate. They do not come as a surprise. I always take this example of 9/11 here in America when the skyscrapers collapsed.
Yeah.
Oh, this was such a surprise. No, for the rest of the world. No, it wasn't. 10 years before, the similar group tried to do the same thing, blow the same thing up, but it just didn't work out because they were caught. But there was a very clear warning already there at that time. It was not a surprise for anybody who knows the signals, the symptoms. We are continuously giving warning signals everywhere.
Yeah, there's a lot of conspiracies about 9/11 out
Yeah.
there in the, so we
Irrespective
don't,
of that, it was not a surprise because a similar thing happened 10 years before. And that is when they loaded they couldn't get the truck down in the garage to blow the whole thing up.
yeah,
That
yeah.
was a thing. Just an example of how we get pre-warned.
Hmm. So how many lifetimes you think an average person here on Earth used to have in the past?
I would not dare to guess that. Some people only need one, many have thousands. I would not guess. Everybody is individually has an individual number of lifetimes. And really doesn't matter how many lifetimes they have. But the only thing what matters is what do I do with my life today? The past is not important. It will come to us when we need to deal with it. The day is made up of certain components every day from morning till evening, which is all the return of karma. For instance, if I got this nasty phone call in the morning, later somebody cuts me off in traffic, late in the evening I have a fight with my spouse. These are all things which have been returned back to me and their opportunity to clear things up. So these three little things which gave me emotional negative charges are moments where I can use love and make a positive out of it. So for me to know or even speculate how many lifetimes I've had in the past are of little consequence. All I have to do is concentrate on my day. Every day is a gift, and the gift is full of things where I have many times opportunity to clear things up. And we can clear up, most of us or many of us can clear up our old garbage in one lifetime if we would live accordingly and make use of it. But as you said earlier, most of people are not aware of it. I wasn't aware of it for a long time, and we did a lot of mess.
Well, every teacher has its own recipe for cleaning all the karma. For example, in the Paramahansa Yogananda teaching, it says that you have to do 1 million kriyas. Kriya is a one breath in and one breath out, if you know.
Sounds a little bit like the Catholic Church saying
Right.
that you say three Hail Marys and your sin are forgiven. That doesn't
Yeah,
work.
but 3 Hail Marys is much easier than 1 million kriyas.
Right. It doesn't make sense to me. But anyway,
Well, I see we're talking about reincarnation mostly right now in this podcast. Can you recognize a person that had many incarnations before?
no, I can't. I have no special gifts, any form. I'm not a medium. I'm not a seer, anything like this. I'm an ordinary guy, and I would not also be interested to have that talent. That is extra burden for me to know in case I can see somebody's past lives and what to do. It is a very difficult task. Some people may be able to do that, and they can do that, but it is a burden, I think, because that is very difficult. Shall I tell something to the person? Shall I not say something to that person? It's not of my interest, of my business, where somebody else is. The only thing which interests me is how I emotionally react to the person. What he or she does is their thing.
Sure.
I must allow them things. And if they want to go into the wrong path, I can tap them on the shoulder and says, I think another glass of booze may be not a good idea. Yes, that's fine, but coming from love and not as judgment.
Right.
But otherwise, where another person is not up to me. It is only between God and that person or that soul. And I am not have anything to do with it. I only have my path to go, and my path is also between God and myself. And
Yes,
the outside world is just a mirror for myself to clear my issues.
It's between God and himself, I'm talking about the other person, unless they interfere with our lives. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if they interfere our lives, of course, I have the right to remove myself and to say, stop. I'm not here to be abused.
In the
For two
negative way,
reasons.
I mean, yeah.
For two reasons. I am not abused. Also, to protect the possible abuser of not creating more karma.
Right.
So for that is another reason. Out of love, not for myself only, but also for the possible abuser, I do anything possible so that the abuse does not take place.
So basically, if we react negatively to any situation, we build more karma. If we react with love, then we clear the karma.
We clear the karma with love. Yeah, that is one way. We can also, the other way to clear karma is not only with love, but also mainly through self-recognition. And when I said earlier, if three things happen to my life and all these three things give me a negative emotion, then self-recognition is my step. It says, why does this person who cuts me off in traffic upsets me? Why the fight with my wife upsets me? And why this awful phone call upsets me? And then I realize what could happen in me. And there usually comes the two steps. Remorse, because I probably have done the same thing, because the outside world is only a mirror of myself. Recognizing that I have done the same mistake. Remorse, repentance, if I hurt somebody, go and ask for forgiveness, and if possible, make amends. And the last thing of no longer doing it. That is the key. Not only love. Love is great, but we also have to recognize ourselves. Wow, I did this mess. I created this mess. And the other person who did this awful stuff is merely a mirror of myself. I like the wonderful line of Byron Katie. She says something like, I'm here to love unconditionally. Everybody else around me is here to push my button. And that is, I think, an important thing, that everybody else is here to be my teacher, push my button so that I recognize myself and I can clear things up through forgiveness, remorse, forgiveness, and asking for forgiveness and making amends.
I'd like to ask you about your book. It's called Thoughts. Thoughts Are Alive.
Oh, thoughts are alive. Yeah.
Sorry about my English is. I'm from Moldova, so
I'm struggling with
we
English.
both have.
Thoughts are alive. Yeah. Thoughts are energies. The whole universe is nothing but energy. When we speak about love and all the different layers, we're talking about different frequency and energy, nothing else. Even the rock, the stone, the computer we watch at is nothing else than energies. And we're continuously sending out things through our emotions, through our feelings, through our sensations, through our words and actions, and also receiving everything. The whole universe also works on sending and receiving, sending and receiving. And one of the things which we do send out are our thoughts, which we think of our thoughts. They may not necessarily be our own thoughts. These thoughts are also energy. And if they are repeatedly thought, they become very strong. And if, let's say, if they are negative, for instance, they become like entities, not like souls, like we are human beings, the soul be, but in entities. It is alive. And in the law, in the universe of like attracts like, it tries to find like-minded kind of thoughts. And they can cling together and they become big thought complexes. These thought complexes swirl around us wherever we are, particularly in densely populated areas, cities, and so on. It's like walking through a sewer. There are lots of negative thoughts around us. And when we have something similar vibrating in us, these thoughts can attach themselves to us. Because like attracts like. And then we suddenly have got this thought which we never had before coming to us, and we suddenly think it's our thought. But in truth, it's a thought complex which we have picked up from the outside. And they can influence us, they can motivate us, and we can do bad things through them.
Yeah, I noticed that because I live in two countries, in the United States and Moldova. And Moldova is the poorest country in Europe. It's an Eastern European country. And I see this negativity in the air oftentimes, especially older people, because they can't make a living and they're always complaining. And you start thinking the same, for example, like not the first week when you arrive, not the second, but a month later, you start thinking exactly the same they do.
Yeah, well, I have it the same in America. Says when we go on vacation and so on, and go somewhere to the West Coast, I have a house there, and the thinking on the East Coast is hectic, fast, very different energy. And somewhere else, nobody cares about Washington and all that stuff. It's quite a different. The environment just forms us wherever we are. So it's the more we have to be careful with whom we mix and where we go.
That's right.
Because it's full of energies which we do not see.
So how do we make this Earth our last incarnation?
Well, the answer has been given by all famous, well-known teachers in all societies, and it's a very simple and straight one. It's through love. There's just simply no other way. Love is the only way forward. It's sort of my line. And it sounds so trite. It sounds so picture book. It sounds so cliché. But if you really look around, that is the only way, because we are love. We are tremendously loving, giving entities in our true essence. We love to share. We love to give. We love to enjoy. We are joy. We are incarnate bliss. All these things. We are light beings. That is our true essence. So basically, we only have to come back to our true essence, which is light, which is love, which is giving, which is sharing, which is joy. And we can do this in our day-to-day living as much as possible. And by doing so and clearing up our old karma, which I mentioned earlier, through forgiveness, through self-recognition, we are told, we are told by the spiritual world that many of us can make this their last lifetime. Because some people may not have much karma or not accumulate so much and just need this little one visit. Others have more and clean up more. It's all individual. But we do have it in our hand to make this our last lifetime here.
Well, looking at today's affairs of this earth, in America and Europe, what's happening with the war right now, you stop believing in love. You don't see that much love around. So,
Well, not in the media. No, the media live off the opposite. The media live off fear. The newspaper, the television sets, that's how they make the money. No, that's why we have to be careful what we consume. And that's another very important thing. There are a lot of little tools which we have been given by the spiritual world on the past, which I have been studying for the last 30 years. Small little things, of course, enjoy the nature and breathe and eat healthy food, not animal food if possible, because the vibration is higher with vegetarian.
Right.
Simple things like this are on the spiritual path, which don't need much explanation or much change in life, but they can influence in our day-to-day living from moment to moment to remain in a higher kind of vibration.
So there's another video I watched. It's called "What Does Heaven Look Like?" What will we do in heaven? Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
The spiritual world has given us several descriptions, and they always struggle. It says, look, we are seven-dimensional. The absolute reality is seven-dimensional. And to transfer this down to the three-dimensional reality is not easy. But they're giving us simple images for us, so we can start grasping our true nature. The eternal absolute reality is continuously expanding. All the very simple, I describe it in my videos. There is a central sun surrounding by 7 prismic suns, and these prismic suns have their own universes. And these universes are continuously expanding, which means they also are populated with minerals, plants, animals, and cosmic spirit beings. And our joy is to be involved in this constant expansion of creation. And that means maybe taking care of animals, whatever we need to do. But it is not work like we hear it on earth. We don't earn money because we own everything. And the divinity tells us the entire universe, the entire heaven of God is in you. It's not up there somewhere, although I use this up and down in my visuals showing, but everything is in us. And the expanding universe in which we are, from where we came and to where we'll return, is absolutely, everything is self-luminous. And it is fragrance, it's form, it's color. It is absolutely beautiful as we can understand it. And that is our true origin. It was love, and love incarnated, basically. And I think that's basically the image which comes to my mind as you ask the question. And this is sort of our home, where there are no worries, there are no pain, there is no suffering, because all these negative elements are outside of your heaven, where we have got the worlds of contrast, the good and evil, dark and light, bad and evil. All this does not exist in the absolute reality. But here we have got these two little things. We believe everything what is built has also to be destroyed, etc. The ups and downs is a Shiva dance. But in truth, in the absolute reality, it is only evolving in waves, and there is no destruction as we know it here happening. So all the descriptions which are given in many revelations are rather beautiful and makes you want to speed up your stuff here and get your act together, I must say. So that's the image I
Yes.
can prevent.
Yes. So God is a perpetual creation, and He creates through us. At least this is what Paramahansa Yogananda said. And his teaching is that he wants to create. I mean, you can call him God or the source or the universe, whatever. But this energy always wants to create and evolve all the time. And we, as the extension of this light, we are creating too. This is why we have this desire to create all the time. I want to do something. I want to write a book. I want to write some, I want to make some cartoons. I want to do a podcast. I want to build a house. It's always we creating, right?
Co-creators, yeah, we are the
Right.
co-creators, yeah,
Co-creators, yeah.
and also
This,
caretakers of, because the highest form of love is always service. So when we are back in our true origin, it is giving service. We are giving to everybody. The spirit beings serve the lower life forms, which are the nature beings, the animals, the minerals, and the plants and the minerals. And the minerals and the plants and the animals and the nature beings are serving the highest life forms. So it's a circle of service, which is in addition to the creation.
okay, so how we bring our vibration up here on Earth? I mean, elevate our vibrations.
Well, I think we covered it a few times because by acting, thinking, speaking more from a loving level and to clearing up our own karma, using those negative impulses which we have, emotion impulses throughout the day as wonderful signposts to this is something we have to work on. Taking these opportunities, don't miss these opportunities. Look at them. Self-recognize yourself and clear up whatever needs to be cleared up. So we do step-by-step clearing up because tomorrow something else will come. And it's not that our life is always negative. There's so much positive in it. But once in a while, something comes which gives us an emotional charge. And the emotional charge is the key element. That's why I said earlier, because everybody else around us is here to push my buttons. They help us to clear up our stuff.
Another way to elevate your vibration, I think, is a gratitude. To be grateful.
Oh yeah, very much so. I think that's a good point. Yeah, gratitude is, I use gratitude largely also it's like meditation and gratitude. The moment I'm grateful for anything, I'm already getting into a different vibration. And as I said, from a grateful mind, any negativity that hits me can be dealt with much better because there's something wonderful I appreciate at the same time. And gratefulness, of course, is a decision.
Right.
We may feel it automatically if somebody gives us a gift. We may not be aware that it's a decision, but we can be grateful at any moment of our day for our life, for our hands, for the computer, for etc. Just the simple fact that we have maybe some food in the fridge and there are 20,000 children dying of hunger every day. I mean, there is so much to be grateful for us. I mean, the list is long, long, long. And the moment we are grateful, we flood our body with positive hormones, and out of this comes happiness. Happiness is a result of gratefulness. It's not the other way around. So there comes happiness, and these are all exercises or vibrations which help us to face our daily challenges, the gratefulness.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned earlier, when you spoke about your friends in Moldova, the gratefulness, I don't know how they are open to this one, but it is the moment instead of continuously negative, to find the gratefulness is the only way. It's one of the main ways for them to get out of that if they want to. But a lot of people find a lot of ego satisfaction by being miserable. And also self-pity is another
Pity
word, where
party.
they get down to this and says, poor me, poor me, poor me,
Yeah.
it's all so bad. They draw energy from other people and so on. Look at me, how bad I have, and so on. So that is unfortunately a game our ego can easily play. And some people just don't want to be grateful. They rather want to be miserable.
Right.
We have to allow them to let them be.
No, this is a good, it's like a pill. You want to take a happy pill without spending any money, putting any poison in your body. You just try to find 3 grateful things right now. When I'm sitting right now here, thank God I'm here. I'm talking to Hans, and I'm doing my podcast, and I'm having a little bit of coffee. I already found three things to be grateful for.
Yeah.
I remember that book when I read it first time, Conversations with God by Neil
Yeah.
Donald Walsh. And the first book I read, somebody gave it to me as a present. And when I opened it, it's like in the first or second page, the first several pages, it says, be grateful in advance. That
Yeah.
just hit me, you know. Be grateful, not only be grateful, but be grateful in advance for whatever is going to happen.
But when we know that this life on earth is a gift, imagine that there are millions of, maybe billions of souls who desperately want to incarnate, to undo their karma in a faster way, but there are not enough baby bodies to allow the incarnation. You and I and 8 billion others are lucky who have made it in this time. So it is a great opportunity. It's like getting into Harvard. How many applicants they have to come to Harvard, and how many do they take in the end?
Right.
And planet Earth is in that situation where there are more people more souls who want to incarnate, but can't. Nobody is here against their own free will. We all have agreed to our life, how miserable it may even appear to them at the time, and how dreadful it appear. But we all have known most of these things prior our incarnation. Before we incarnate, we are shown more or less the difficult situation we may have to change. We may have to re-experience again, because, as I said, our life is on rewind. The stuff which we have once created, the negativity, and where it says, are you willing? And then we ask, are you willing to face these challenges? And we agree to it because, from our perspective, in the purification spheres, being here for 30,000 days is nothing, absolutely nothing.
Right.
In, out. So it appears long here for us, but not from another higher perspective. So we gladly, we gladly accept that opportunity.
Yeah, because comparing to eternity, this is nothing. And
Exactly.
plus, there is no time, so the souls on the other side, they don't have the perception of time. Probably what 30,000 days? That's nothing.
They have a very different one, a very different perception of time. Yeah.
Yeah, and talking about 8 billion souls, why this is an enormous increase in population in the last 100 years? What's your opinion?
Well, it is an incredible. At 1900, only 120 years ago, the average population on planet Earth was around 1 billion or 1.5 billion people. Mm-hmm. And that was pretty stable for a long time before. It just stayed that way. And then suddenly it increased right up. Well, I think my figure is 8 billion right now. And this is an incredible jump. The reason is very simple. The spiritual realms know that Earth is going to a change, major change. It is going into a higher vibration, and most likely reincarnation, as we have known it in the past, to undo our karma is no longer possible, will no longer be possible, because it's a different kind of world. Earth, not the world. The world will go kaput. The world, I mean all what we human beings created. But planet Earth is going into a higher vibration. Life will be difficult. But before that happens, or during the time it happens, there will be a lot of earth changes. There will be a lot of turmoil. There will be a lot of suffering, a lot of changes. And these souls who have incarnated at this time have agreed to these changes because it is the fastest way to undo karma. So we are all here, and we may face a very difficult time still come in the next few years or whatever, but we have agreed to it because it is the fastest way to purify ourselves. So that is the reason, my understanding, and it has been given to us by the absolute reality, why we suddenly have this incredible increase of souls. because they know on the other side that the time here to undo our karma is coming to an end.
So this might be the New Age.
We can call it, yeah, New Age has many different interpretation and understanding. Yeah, it's a different, there will be a different world, and souls of higher vibration will incarnate. There may be still pockets of areas where lower vibrated souls can incarnate. I don't know. I don't have the picture on that one.
Yeah.
But I only know that there is a major change happening with planet Earth, and we will all be part of it.
Yeah, so you see the planets also go to a higher levels all the time, right?
Yes, yes.
That's
The whole
incredible.
Christ explained it in one revelation. God is now breathing in again the temporary reality. God is basically also breathing out and breathing in. This is basically how creation is. The breathing element, but basically now all of the temporary reality which the fallen souls have created are slowly now returning back to the absolute reality. This was just a totally unintended bump of creation, that a few souls left it and said, we want our own creation, and created this mess. They tried it to make their own heaven. It didn't work out. So now we are all returning back. Basically, Sergey, I always come back. Everything is basically in this wonderful parable which Christ has told us about the prodigal son. The wealthy son left his wealthy home and asked his father to give his inheritance. And the father lets him go, gives him his inheritance, which is energy. He misuses the energy as he falls down on planet Earth, totally, absolutely uses it all up. He sleeps with the swines at the swineherd. And then he remembers that the servants in his father's home live better than he does. And he remorsefully returns home to ask his father to be a servant in his home. So, of course, when the father sees him, I always get teared up with the story. I don't know, but the father comes and embraces him and, of course, welcomes him back home. And this is actually what is a story for all of us. You and I and everybody else are this lost, this prodigal son, prodigal daughter, and we return home, which I think is a very important story, because it's not that we slowly evolved from out of the sea, from a sea urchin into an animal, a monkey, and so on, and now slowly have to grow to some spiritual being. No, we have been that perfect being. It's merely a question of returning. There's nothing new for us to learn, only to activate our love muscle, basically.
Wow, this parable is very powerful if you think about it, yeah. The prodigal son, because we immerse ourselves in this hard life here and we forget who we are.
Yeah.
And then, when God calls us and we feel the love again, we're just astounded by that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably called awakening.
And in meditations and prayers, we can feel some of this love as well when we surrender totally to this high power and come home every time we go within and reconnect with Source.
So that's why we never feel at home here completely. Like, I know you traveled a lot, you live in the different countries all the time. It's like looking for home, right?
Yeah, we are all, nobody is here home. Nobody
I know.
This earth is not our home. This is the thing. But a lot of people believe where they are. Well, my brother is very happy where he grew up and he stays there, and this is his home. I, of course, lived in many countries, and I, just like you, are almost homeless. But we can over-identify with our home. This is the problem with a lot of people on Earth. They really believe this is the only life, this is the only culture, the only religion, and the only thing to be. And they never start questioning that. Is this really true? Is it really true that this belief system, this religion I'm in, part of it, has the right thoughts, the right food that I eat, is it good for me? The thoughts I have, is it right to be part of this tribe? And the questioning is something which by questioning all these basic questions which we have learned through our upbringing, through the environment, it's important to question them all, and then can set us free.
Yeah, so it's about attachment. People get attached very much to this life, to the house they live. And I heard stories, maybe this is not your expertise, but about people who come back and their houses they loved and leave as host over there because they cannot they just can't accept that they gotta leave.
Yeah,
Um,
my new video is on this one, when the rich man dies.
yeah,
So that
I
basically, and
watched
an
that.
example of how he then becomes earthbound. It's quite possible. Yes, I'm sorry, interrupted.
No, that's okay. I interrupted you. Well, let me ask you something, which is basically a topic of my podcast. What do you think about freedom?
Oh,
What's
freedom.
your yeah?
Freedom is the basic right of every soul. This is our right. We are created totally free. God created his children, you call them extension, totally free, independent beings with a free will. And because some of us have misused the free will, we created this stupid temporary reality. But the free will is there. We all have a totally free will to continuously decide for the right thing or the bad thing. So what is good for what is loving and what is not loving. But the free will is and freedom is basically returning back to a higher vibration where we can fully exercise that free will in the service of love.
Well, let me ask you then about your work. Where can people find more about you, about your what you do, your
Well, I
books?
am actually my main profession is I'm a writer and illustrator, and I've done several hundred books. And this is only a sideline, which I normally didn't intend to become public, but certain moment happened in my life where I just decided to make these YouTube videos for the last 10 years. And you can find them just by go to YouTube and punch in my name, and you will immediately be connected. But I also have a website called lifeexplained.com, where the same videos are listed in grouped together in a different way and easy to find. So these are the things which I do as a copy. And as I said, there is no membership, there's nothing to sign up for, and it has no commercials, and there is no request for donations.
There is no commercials on your YouTube
No,
channel. Okay,
no.
you can deactivate that feature if you don't want
Yeah,
to. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
And what's your final message to my audience?
Final message is the same message I give myself every day. Love is the only way forward. There is just no other way. There is just simply no other way. We can think as much as we want. We can be as crafty and clever, but if it's not love-based, it's not forward.
So the Beatles were right talking or singing about love.
Who was it? Yeah.
The Beatles.
Yeah. Oh, they had a lot of clever lines. Yes. Yes.
Well, Hans, well, thank you very much for your interview. I appreciate very much you coming on my channel.
It
And
was a delight, Sergey. Nice meeting you, and I wish you well with your channel and for the future.